Then we see Casey fixing all of the skaters' mistakes with her laptop and her physics. I'm not really sure what she's doing, but she's doing a bunch of science stuff and it's working. Casey just has it down. She knows exactly how to do all this. She's jumping up in the air, flailing around. She just got it. Casey calls mom to have her pick her up, and Casey's mom is about to start swinging. Hey guys, it's Casey. You're watching Sassy Grilled Cheese, and today we're watching the 2005 film Ice Princess. I watched Ice Princess as soon as it came out. I was maybe 8 or 9 at the time, and I loved this movie. I want to say that's probably the reason why I'm a huge figure skating nerd now, but the movie follows Casey Carlyle on her adventure to become, I don't know, an ice princess. It stars the girl from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She is a physics nerd in the movie who is a figure skating hobbyist and then becomes a professional figure skater in the span of 3 months. I also asked the figure skating subreddit about what their thoughts are on the movie, and I got some interesting responses, so we're gonna visit that later. We're just gonna get right into it. So we start off the movie with Casey Carlyle skating on a pond. Casey's kind of like a skating hobbyist. She's not super serious about it. It's just something she does outside every now and then when it gets cold. But first and foremost, she's like really good at physics and school. She's super book smart. She gets straight A's. You know, at school, Casey's talking to her science teacher, who I guess is like making toast or something. And he's talking to her about this scholarship thing going on and how she would be a shoo-in to apply for it. And basically what she needs to do is create a summer project that is very personal to her, but also related to physics. So Casey doesn't really know what she's going to do with this information, but she knows that she has to do something to get this scholarship because it's going to help her get into Harvard. I still don't know what kind of experiment he's doing. He just gives her a piece of toast.
Toast?
Sure.
And then he just makes more toast. If you cook bread long enough, it makes toast. So Casey goes to the hallway. She's talking to her BFF, Anne, who's in full support of her going for the scholarship. Anne is also super boy crazy, which is never really explored in the movie.
One day that guy's gonna wake up and realize he needs a math tutor.
I don't know. She just comments on boys all the time. Hayden Panettiere? Can't pronounce these names. She plays Jen Harwood, who is basically like this super popular girl, and she's also a figure skater. Jen Harwood is handing out these flyers for her boyfriend's birthday party, and she walks up to Casey and Anne. Casey immediately thinks that she's gonna give her an invitation, but she then says something along the lines of,
You're in chem lab with Julian Wilson, right? Mm-hmm. Can you give that to him?
So Casey's mom is a feminist, but like a super feminist. Like she's the type of woman that's gonna get arrested for protesting, and Casey's like, Mom, stop, you're embarrassing me.
The devaluation of teachers in our society, it blows my mind.
Mom.
I'm back. Sorry.
Mom, you're being too feminist, stop. When she talks about the devaluation of teachers, like literally you're right though. We never hear about Dad, so I guess he went to go get milk and never came back. Casey and Anne are watching figure skating TV and it hits Casey. She wants to make a project about figure skating because that's something that she genuinely enjoys doing. So she bikes to the local figure skating rink and she decides she's gonna start just filming these figure skaters there. She doesn't ask anybody first, she just kind of whips out the camcorder and starts filming. As soon as she whips out her camera, Tina Harwood jump scares her and asks her what she's doing. Casey tries to explain that she's filming for her school project, but Tina Harwood thinks that she's some kind of spy. She immediately is like gonna call the police on this teenager. I mean, it seems like a little bit of an overreaction. So Casey's flailing around trying to find her school notebook and her ID to prove to Tina that she's not some kind of spy and that she's a student. Tina finally believes her and she says something weird about the CIA or something.
CIA wants to learn new dirty tricks. They observe figure skaters and their moms.
Observing figure skaters and their moms? What does that even mean? Tina then goes on to say that she doesn't really care if she films her students, but she's gonna have to ask the parents first before she continues doing it. Jen skates up and calls her a science geek, which is rude as hell.
What are you doing here?
You know her?
She's a science geek.
Then Casey walks right onto the ice without any skates on, and she gets yelled at for it by, by some guy.
No street shoes on the ice.
I'm sorry.
So Casey's like filming these skaters, right? And all of a sudden, Jen's boyfriend comes up to give her lunch. Already, Tina's mom is giving her crap about having her boyfriend at the rink and giving her food. She's like, you can't eat that. And meanwhile, Casey's filming the whole thing. I mean, she just has no shame, has her camcorder out, filming all of it. Tina gets mad, telling her to turn it off.
Turn that off.
Sorry.
Yeah, no kidding, Casey. You're really skating on thin ice. We get a lot of cool techie shots of Casey working on her Dell laptop. She's doing some like sciencey stuff, and I don't know what she's doing, but she's doing something. What kind of notes do you think she's writing down? Probably something with pie in it. So Casey and Anne are talking over lunch about a project, and Anne is like, no, you need to put more you into it. Which we all know what that means, right? She's gonna put on the skates and she's gonna learn how to be a figure skater. So then Casey asks Tina if she could take some beginner lessons, and Tina tells her that it's gonna be like $800 for the summer. So Casey's immediate reaction is to get a part-time job serving hot dogs, but I'm thinking like, this is obviously a minimum wage job. There's no way that she would be able to come up with the money in time. It would take her at least a month and a half if she's working 30 hours a week, which I know she's not. And where is she gonna get the rest of the money? Because mom ain't paying for it.
Dad's not paying for it.
Casey touches a hot dog and she gets really sassy about it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, you touched that with your fingers!
Oh, fine. You don't want any more? I'll eat it.
Ew, you breathed on it!
Some of the skaters come up to get some food, and Jen is super judgy again.
You're here again? I'm working. It's for my science project.
She going a little overboard with this project.
No.
Like, I don't understand why she cares so much. She's like unnecessarily mean to Casey. This skater, Nikki, is like really stuck up. She's like supposed to be the best, and
I'm starving. BLT here, hold the B, heavy on the L.
Sure.
she orders a salad. Jen decides to cheat a little bit and gets a quarter cup of cheese.
Wedge. Oh, and a quarter cup of cheese. Ooh, cheese. It's Saturday. I can pick out if I want to.
These figure skating hoes, I'm just saying. Then Jen gets mad because Casey gave her more than a quarter cup of cheese. Like,
That is way more than a quarter cup.
just throw some of the extra cheese away. What is your deal? So I just want to point out that throughout this entire movie, everybody is mean to Casey. And I don't really know why. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a Disney movie where people are this mean to the main character. Also, Casey shrugs a lot. So Casey joins the Snowplow Sam class, which, for those of you who don't know, Snowplow Sam is supposed to be like a beginner's lesson. Sitting, standing, gliding, basically just learning how to move around in the skates. But they have these kids here learning jumps in the first lesson. Do you have any idea how long it takes to learn how to do a jump at all in figure skating? And here they are doing it in 5 minutes. All these kids are doing all their jumps, and man, these parents are just really uptight.
Jeremy, that toe pick is there for a reason. You dig it in. We're no friends over for a week.
So this little girl explains to Casey that the recital that's coming up is not just any recital. It's basically how they qualify to get into regionals. So then Casey's like, oh, okay, this is a real big deal. So seemingly after a few sessions, Casey just has it down. She knows exactly how to do all this. She's jumping up in the air, flailing around. She just got it. We see this guy back. I just call him Zamboni guy because I don't really know his name. And he starts, I don't know, doing his thing with his Zamboni machine, cleaning up the ice or whatever. And Casey's thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna go fuck up his ice. I would be pissed. I'd run her over. Zamboni guy is like, hey, idiot, what are you doing?
Are you out of your mind?
Casey just shrugs again. She's like, I've never skated on clean ice before. I've only skated on my pond. I'm sorry, Zamboni guy. I just wanted to be an ice princess. She skates away, falls, and they learn a little bit about each other.
It's not for an A. It's for a physics scholarship.
Inertia and drag and velocity, all that?
How do you know about that?
How do you know about that? Casey, he literally explains some basic ass physics terms. And then he explains that he knows so much about physics because he works on cars a lot. So I guess they have something in common. I wonder where this is gonna go. It wouldn't be Ice Princess without an Ice Prince. And then later that night, Mom walks in on Casey doing some science stuff, and Mom makes some really rude comments about the skater's appearance.
I'm sorry. I just can't get past the twinky little outfits.
Very feminist of you. She refers to the skaters' costumes as twinky little outfits.
They're actually very aerodynamically sound.
Actually, Mom? They're very aerodynamically sound. I'm gonna start saying that if someone insults what I'm wearing. So then Mom goes on to explain about how figure skating sets feminism back like 50 years or something like that. And she says that if she would ever catch her dead wearing a figure skating costume like that, then she would be very disappointed. So then we get back to the figure skating rink, and Anne is filming Casey for her project. And to be honest with you, the way that Casey is struggling with being filmed is exactly how I feel when I film myself. I just mess up every 5 seconds, and the only thing that makes it look like this is all effortless is editing.
I am going to increase the centripetal force by tucking in my arms.
This will increase my moment of inertia, so I will spin faster.
I wrote on my notes, Anne is such a baddie, and I don't remember why.
You know, you look kind of hot.
Shut up.
Casey does a before jump to show what her jumps look like before applying physics, and it's like pretty impressive for just learning how to figure skate. So then Casey does a double toe loop. I think it's a toe loop. It might be a flip. I'm really not sure. But anyway, she does a double jump, and yeah, apparently because she can do double jumps now.
When you sign with Nike, remember I wear size 6.5.
Look guys, it's that simple. Just apply some basic ass skating techniques and you too will be Midori Ito in just a few days. I know it's just a kid's movie, but this grossly underestimates the amount of time and effort and money it takes to become a professional figure skater. It's... Casey then immediately wants to tell Tina that she wants to be in the recital, you know, for science and stuff. Casey hooks her up with one of her old costumes, and Casey has to go to like a Harvard tea time thing, but she decides, you know what, it might be a few hours before the recital, but I'll make it there in time. Mom is going on about feminism again. She's talking about how these are going to be all of her future classmates and professors at this tea time, and you know, she makes it very clear how important this is to her. Right before the Harvard event, Casey tries to tell her mom about the recital, but mom immediately interrupts her before Casey gets a word out and tells her that she's glad that she's not spending time at the rink. So Casey opts to not tell her mom anything. During the Harvard event, we meet Penelope, who rocks.
Physics rocks. Can join the quantum club, and that rocks. Particle accelerator took first place. It rocked.
Penelope offers to go over the entire physics syllabus with both of them, and so of course Casey's late to the recital, and it's a big deal. She just can't catch a break in this movie. Casey's like super nervous about the recital, but of course she goes out there and absolutely kills it. It looks like they gave her some kind of lead part in this performance, which confuses me because she wasn't even supposed to be there until the day before. Jen throws a fit about Casey wearing her mom's old costume, and Casey throws in a double jump like it's just no big deal. While all the other kids are getting their scores, Casey jumps 2 levels somehow, and now all of a sudden she's competing with the rest of the senior girls, which would never happen, by the way. I mean, it's physics, guys. All of this is pointless if you don't have inertia, okay? So Casey asks Tina about competing, but Tina immediately crushes Casey's dreams, basically saying that she's too poor to skate, which I mean, to be completely honest, is not that far off from reality. I mean, it's really expensive to be a figure skater. It is a rich person's thing. I mean, you have to pay for the costumes, you have to pay for the private ice time, the skates are expensive, there's so many different factors involved. A coach, a choreographer. So summer's finally over and Casey starts her senior year of high school. All the mean skater girls are applauding her for landing a double jump and ask her if she's gonna join the competition team, but Casey says that she can't because she's too poor. Jen then explains how envious she is of Casey because Casey can do all the things that normal girls can do, like eat whatever she wants, hang out with her friends, and all the things that Jen wishes she could do but can't because she's figure skating 24 hours a day, basically. The other girl jumps in and she says she wishes she could eat a bunch of bread and do all those things. Nikki is all like, you guys are losers, figure skating is life, you guys don't understand.
The jumping shrimp is a skating machine.
The jumping shrimp?
My mom copyrighted it. See ya.
Back in Casey's science class, her teacher shows a lot of enthusiasm about Casey's science project and basically insinuates that she has the scholarship in the bag. He makes a comment like, you know, you could even sell this, and Casey has this brilliant idea to trade her physics knowledge for things like skating time, choreography, I mean, you name it. She goes up to all the skaters and she's like, I can fix this, and I can fix this jump. I can fix whatever you're dealing with. I mean, you want to land doubles, triples, quads? Forget training, just use physics. That's all you need. Just hire Casey to use a Dell laptop to psychoanalyze your jumps with aerodynamics and inertia and whatever else, and you'll be perfect in no time. Finally, she has the skating rink by herself when her mom shows up because I guess she missed her dentist appointment. Mom immediately starts questioning things. She asks who Zamboni Guy is. We finally learn his name is Teddy, but I'm still gonna call him Zamboni Guy. She asks what Casey's doing. Tina backs her up and says that she's been working on her project. And then once Mom finds out who Tina Harwood is, who I guess has this infamous skating career, she starts insulting figure skating as a whole, and it gets really heated. Then that night, Casey's mom throws her skates with all the other dirty shoes. I mean, Casey's just having a rough time. Then we see Casey fixing all of the skaters' mistakes with her laptop and her physics. I'm not really sure what she's doing, but she's doing a bunch of science stuff and it's working. So Jen lands a double axel, which I guess is something she's been struggling with for a very long time. She begs her mom to go out on a Saturday night, but mom pushes back and says that she has to get up early the next morning. Jen figures out that if she says she's going out with Casey, her mom is more likely to say yes to the whole thing. So she goes and asks Casey if she wants to hang out, and she tells Casey that she's going to the movies, but where they're really going is some kind of teen house party. Casey freaks out because she's not dressed for a party, and Jen takes down her hair and tells her to shake it.
Shake it. Your hair.
Jen introduces Casey to some random hockey guy, and it just doesn't go well. They're like in the middle of a conversation, and some kid flies a zip line all the way down into a window and breaks it. And while the kid is ziplining, Casey is just talking about the physics behind it.
At that rate of descent, his estimated trajectory would bring him directly through the window. E times m equals a miscalculation. You know, velocity times moment.
Which becomes a huge turnoff to the hockey guy for some reason.
Physics.
Yeah, I have to,
Physics. I'm gonna start saying that after everything. I ate 2 bologna sandwiches too fast and now I have a tummy ache. Physics. I took a giant inertia dump about 30 minutes ago. Physics.
That was Kyle Dayton. Way hot.
Word of advice? Don't ever speak again.
When I get nervous, I kind of babble a little.
And that babbling thing again?
I think babbling is cool.
Zamboni guy comes to the rescue to tell these girls to shut up. I still don't get it because Casey is like the prettiest girl in the room. Zamboni guy talks to Casey and mentions that Jen is his sister. Casey's like super surprised about that.
An object is only as strong as its weakest point. Physics.
Ugh. So annoying. I'm smart, I'm not like other girls. Zamboni goes on to explain that the rink was bought by his mom's divorce money and that his favorite part about fixing it up was the Zamboni. Wow, imagine that. We then get a cool montage of Casey training, Nikki is doing some choreography for her, and you know, everything seems to be going well, but at what price? Casey's falling behind in school and is visibly irritated at her, like it's just not something that she can balance. And then when Casey gets home, she is questioned by her mom, and her mom is like, what have you been doing? Where have you been? And Casey's been lying, saying that she's been tutoring some kid at school when really she's been at the rink. Mom then asks why she got a C. I mean, like, her and A's are like peanut butter and jelly. That's what mom said.
I mean, you and A's are like peanut butter and jelly. Is it belated rebellion?
What?
Casey claimed that she was hanging out with Anne, but then mom explains that Anne just called the house asking for her, so she knew she was lying. Mom's like really pushing on this. She's trying to figure out what's going on, and when she pulls Casey aside, Casey drops a bag and mom finds Casey's twinky little skating costume. The truth is revealed. I mean, like, this just sucks. Like, Casey just wants to skate. Just let her skate, man. And mom just like cannot wrap around the fact that her daughter just likes to figure skate. I mean, even if it's just a hobby, she says that's like a waste of time. Obviously she hates it for like these weird feminist reasons. Then she goes on to talk about how figure skaters don't really last that long because, you know, they really stop skating at about like 26 years old or whatever. I mean, she has a point, but like Casey's not saying that she's gonna be figure skating the rest of her life. She just wants to compete. You're not completely wrong, but you gotta meet your kids in the middle, you know what I'm saying? So at the rink, all the girls are getting ready to go to the competition. Apparently Nikki is sponsored by Toyota now somehow.
Guess what? Slonsky Toyota sponsorship? It's a done deal.
So then we meet Zoe, who's like a really edgy, gothy figure skater, but she's also a big meanie head who bullies all the other skaters. Zoe even wishes Casey good luck in the competition, but tells her that the judges probably already made up their mind, and that she also calls Casey's skates trash.
Nice skates.
Jen tries to reassure Casey that Zoe's just trying to intimidate her and to not even worry about it. Oh, and then Jen is like this savior where she puts makeup on Casey, who like has never worn makeup before, I guess. And she looks in the mirror and is surprised at how beautiful she looks when she's been beautiful the whole time. And then Jen gives her permission to like go after her brother.
Daddy, you can have.
Oh,
but I don't.
You know, I may not be as smart as you are, but I'm not an idiot.
It's weird. Also, how old is that guy? I know Casey's supposed to be like 17, but this guy looks a lot older than that. So the competition starts. Zoe is skating like a super edgy skater, which is to be expected. Another skater is doing her thing and she falls, which is a huge disgrace. Her parents are gonna disown her. Nikki does a really zany number, which is very fitting for her personality. Her parents seem like two people I would never want to talk to in real life. Jen lands her double axel and we get to Casey's performance where she falls in the first jump. But don't worry guys, she gets up and she does a double axel completely perfectly. You know, the jump that Jen has been struggling with for a long time. And then she just throws in a triple combination.
Did you know she had a triple?
She came to win.
She figured that out on her computer.
Mom, the computer doesn't make the jumps for you.
Wow. Physics. So then the judges post the scores and we find out that Casey placed 5th so far, but there is another number that's about to start. If she knocks Jen out of the rankings, because Jen got 4th place, then Casey would be eligible to compete in sectionals. Tina makes this villainous look like she's about to do something. And this is, guys, this is where the movie just makes a really dark turn, and I wasn't prepared for this. Tina deliberately tries to sabotage Casey by telling her like, hey, you know, your skates are really beat up and I'm gonna give you new skates. So Casey of course thinks that Tina's being all nice to her, but what Casey doesn't realize is that you need a minimum of however many weeks to break in the skates before you can compete in them, because they're really stiff. I mean, just like if you tried walking a marathon in new shoes. What really gets me is Casey should know this because she's really smart, but whatever. I mean, it makes an interesting plot for the movie. So Casey starts the free skate and she immediately falls in the first jump. She skates fine the rest of the program, but it's not enough for her to place, which was Tina's plan all along. Casey, who is very disappointed, goes into the other room to take off her skates. Zoe is also in there and she notices that Casey has a bunch of blisters and new skates, because remember she commented on how dirty the other ones were. Zoe's super real with her. She's like, why would Tina give you those skates? Like, she knew what she was doing. She was trying to sabotage you. You need a minimum of 10 weeks to break them in. And Casey is just devastated. She runs up to Tina and her fam and completely confronts them. She not only thinks that Tina was in on it, which she was, but she also assumes that Jen and Zamboni were in on it too. She completely storms out, and let me tell you, the drama from here on out in this movie is for real. It just gets crazier. She was robbed. My girl Casey was robbed, full stop. So Casey calls mom to have her pick her up, and Casey's mom is about to start swinging. And like during the scene where Casey's mom is pulling up in her van, the camera's zooming in really fast. Mom is confronting Tina. I mean, I'm living for this shooting style. I wish the whole movie was like this. Mom confronts Tina about injuring her daughter, and Tina just deflects the subject like she basically did her a favor. And then mom calls Tina a liar and a cheat. Tina slaps back and basically does the whole my daughter is better than your daughter thing. So because of all this, Casey's done with figure skating. She's just going back to her previous life where she's just studying to go to Harvard. And of course, she's like looking out the window at her little pond. She misses skating because she loves it. So then Casey goes to school and Jen is trying really hard to explain to Casey that she knew nothing about the skates incident, but Casey's refusing to believe her. But right after all that, Tina Harwood comes up to talk to her daughter, and Jen is basically like, look, dude, this is the last straw. I quit.
If you have any sense of self-preservation, you'll scatter.
And Jen basically explains that this was a long time coming, that she wants to be able to hang out with her friends, go to homecoming with her boyfriend, and do all the things that normal kids get to do. So like this was a decision that she was already going to make, but the skating incident was like it crossed the line. Casey overhears the conversation, and now of course she believes Jen, and Jen tells Casey that since she is pulling herself out of the competition, that Casey can now perform at sectionals because she placed 5th and now she technically places 4th. Casey then says that that part of her life is over, that she needs to focus on Harvard because that's what she really wants. Jen is basically like, nah girl, it's not. You want to be an ice princess. Let's be real. So during the Harvard interview, Casey's talking about her experiment and how she applied physics to not only other skaters skating, but her own skating, and that's why she was able to improve so quickly. The guy's really impressed and he asks why she's passionate about going to Harvard, and then Casey just gets up and leaves mid-interview because she realizes it's not for her. I mean, she could have at least waited until after the interview. She could have finished it and then decided that she wanted to not go to Harvard, maybe waited for the admissions letter, but no, she had to leave right then and there, even though she wasn't late to a competition or anything. Mom is upset. She's like,
Giving up your dream.
No, Mom. I'm giving up your dream.
I'm not trying to diminish the importance of skating, but Casey worked her entire life to get into Harvard, and she just kind of threw it away because of a whim. She spent the last few months skating, and you would think that she would maybe spend a little bit more time thinking about this before walking out on an interview. So I don't know, if I was Mom, I'd be upset too. Casey's trying to practice in her pond, but she keeps falling because it's not smooth ice. Maybe you better apply some physics, Casey. You're not aerodynamically sound enough to be doing that right now. But wait, who comes to save the day but Zamboni guy? He brings the Zamboni all the way from the rink, and somehow he knew that he could just bring it into Casey's backyard with no issues.
Medium smooth or glassy?
If your man doesn't give you Zamboni options, look elsewhere. But wait, like, wouldn't this thing be really heavy? Wouldn't it just fall through the pond? So they're talking, they're having like a romantic interaction, and Zamboni tells her that if she wants to win sectionals, she's gonna need some help, specifically from his mom. So Casey shows up to Tina's house, and she's very rude about Casey being there.
What do you want? If you're here for an apology, you won't get one.
Like, you're not even gonna apologize for what you did? You deliberately injured her feet. Like, you can't even say I'm sorry for that. Casey asked Tina about an incident that happened in Sarajevo, which I guess is what she's infamous for, but we're learning about it now. And Tina goes on to explain that during her Sarajevo competition, many, many years ago, she collided with another skater and she was kicked out of skating for it. She said that she was suspended. By the time that she was reinstated, she was 26 years old, and it was already too late because she was too old. So Tina doesn't have a skater right now. Casey asks her to coach her, but Tina's super rude about it. She says that Casey doesn't have what it takes. Casey sprinkles in that she walked out of her Harvard interview and that she will work harder than any other skater that she's ever trained. Yeah, okay. So Tina finally agrees to being her coach, but Mom is completely against the whole thing. I mean, would you want Tina to coach your daughter after that whole incident? I wouldn't. Mom goes off on another tangent, talking about how Casey's wearing makeup and she's wearing new clothes, she's wearing her hair different, she's basically turning into a completely different person. She says that she's turning into Tina, and she criticizes Casey for doing anything that makes her feel pretty because, you know, feminism, right? Casey asks her mom to see her at the rink, and her mom just flat out refuses to meet in the middle with her daughter. We then skip a bunch of time and we're finally at sectionals. Michelle Kwan is one of the reporters here, and I know that she's supposed to be competing during this point in time in the movie, but I think they just wanted to showcase a really popular Olympian. Everyone's doing a great job, and of course Casey's the only one that has lyrics in her song, because that would have been totally allowed.
The word newcomer doesn't even begin to cover Casey Carlyle.
Tina's grilling Casey for not being artistic enough, and we are already seeing this like coach-student banter between the two of them. Jen comes in to give some support to Casey and asks her about her mom, but Casey goes on to explain that her and her mom haven't really spoken in months, which is really sad. Mom is doing her lecture and she keeps looking over at the clock like, Mom, why aren't you at your daughter's most important competition? You can't even show up to that? So Casey goes out to perform and all the lighting has changed. I interpreted this to be like an artistic choice by the people who made this movie, because I think it's supposed to show that she's in her own little bubble. She's not thinking about anything else. She falls on her triple Salchow because she doesn't have enough physics. So she's like not in the game, right? She's messing up. And then she notices her mom sitting in the audience and she just stops. She just stops and stares at her. But of course, this inspires her to finish the performance with a bang, and she skates perfectly. She even threw in a triple Lutz.
What? She just threw in that triple Lutz. I don't think I've seen anyone come back this far from mid-program disaster since Midori Ito in the '92 Olympics.
Do not bring my girl Midori Ito into this. How dare you? So yeah, she did great. She beat Zoe, the villain of the skating community. She almost scored even with Nikki Fletchers, who was very upset about that. The reporter said that she has to settle for silver as if that was a bad thing. Like, she just learned how to skate. She's getting silver in a sectionals competition. Mom and Casey have a heartwarming moment, and Mom learns a valuable lesson not to belittle her children in the name of feminism. Zamboni guy shows up to give her flowers, and Nikki is pissed off because she lost to Casey.
Where did
on, sweetheart, you need...
Physics, Nikki. Physics. Then we get some friendly banter between Tina and Casey's mom after the competition. Like, everything's just fine after the whole, you know, sabotaging your daughter incident. We're all just friends now. In the end, everybody lived happily ever after. The end. So yeah, guys, that was the movie. I liked it a lot, even after all these years. I mean, the figure skating was not accurate at all, but, you know, the plot was pretty good. And Joanne Cusack did a really good job. Buffy girl did a great job too. Michelle, I'm not even gonna bother pronouncing her last name. She did great. I made a Reddit post on our figure skating to ask some figure skating people what they thought about the movie. This person said, I also loved it as a kid, and the inaccuracies annoyed me then too. It's always driven me nuts that she can land doubles almost immediately just because she understands the physics. No technique or strength build needed. Physics, you know. This person gave a really detailed explanation. They said, I'm rewatching now, here are some thoughts. The idea that it's an expensive sport is accurate, mentioning parents remortgaging, etc. The skaters have food issues and are barely eating despite all their exercise. That seemed pretty accurate too. But really all the points this person made is very, very accurate. This person said, the biggest one that always annoyed me was the whole passing Junior by doing a rehearsal with a bunch of little kids and throwing out one double and a layback. Like, come on now, the 7 moves tests and 7 free skate tests, you don't pass those tests by some weird recital. It was a pretty weird recital, I'll give it that. This person says, I love the movie so much despite the errors. It came out when I was skating in middle school, and I remember it led to a small boom of kids picking up skating and quitting not long after because it didn't progress like in the movie. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.